They are back in Guatemala, but definitely getting bigger by the year. This trip was a little impromptu. It's been a while since I've seen you guys, but I'm glad that I've been able to come. Originally, I had a trip planned up to Chicago to a conference, and then had planned to speak in some churches up there. But out of necessity, I had to come down here for my license to submit my medical, so that doesn't get suspended, which I did have that happen before. Not a good thing. And I needed to come help my mom. So it was a trip that I planned to be home for Thanksgiving, but I've had to push it. And so I'm glad, though, that it means I can see you guys and be here today with you. So I am looking forward to getting home. I go home on next Saturday. So Sarah and the kids are excited for me to get back. I'm excited to be back. But I'm excited to be here today to kind of update you guys on where we're at with Encounter. And I see some faces that are new to me, so I might need to give a little history as well of how we're in Guatemala, how long we've been there, and our journey, which you guys have been with us this whole time. So let me recap for you guys. We've been in Guatemala now for 8 years, and it still feels unbelievable we've been there that long, but we're thankful for what God's done with us and taught us during that time. History here. I came to school here, grew up at Victory Christian Academy, which many of you remember that well. And I remember singing hymns or singing in the choir rehearsal down here, and so many good memories here. And so I grew up in this area and eventually went to Bible school, got married, and my wife and we left for the field about 14 years ago now. We've been gone out of the States for 14 years, so it definitely, things change as we're gone. It feels weird to come back. We tell missionaries to, they think it's strange to move to a new country and adjust there, but we tell them the real shock is when you go back home, and to prepare for that. So we've been gone. We served in Africa for about 3.5 years. We served in Spain for 1.5 years with the same mission board, but then we shifted into education. And so we resigned from that board and moved into education in ministry as a platform and just really seeing where God would use it, which eventually led us to Guatemala. And we served in a missionary school there for 4 years. But we had the vision and the goal to create something a bit new and out of the box in terms of education, but more as an outreach to missionaries. Because what we observed over the last 14 years are missionaries struggling and many leaving the field. And so what we wanted to do was to help them in the area of education, but more importantly, minister to them, disciple them, to see many of them stay and be healthy. And even if they didn't stay, to leave healthy. Because many missionaries who we've seen come back, came back broken or feeling like a failure and struggling. And so our goal was to see those serving, to just, to really learn how to serve in a healthy way, wherever God led them. So. And that led us into Encounter, which we are in our 4th year now. And so I'm going to play some photos while I talk so that you guys can get a glimpse of what it looks like there, what we do. So these will just play through and it'll loop. So you guys, if you don't see one the first time, it'll play back through. But Encounter, we started, we're in our 4th year, which is a big turning point for us, because as we created this school, we created the curriculum on a 3-year cycle, where after 3 years we start over again. So we use a homeschool curriculum for math and language, but then Sarah herself has written our science and history portion that we incorporate with it all. And so the idea of that is that we work through world history in that 3-year time, and now we start back. So we're excited. We're working through the program. But Encounter is created for children of anyone working in ministry, whether that's a missionary there, a pastor from Guatemala, or missionaries from other countries. It is all English, but we are actually working right now with our board to create a Spanish component for those who are not native English speakers. That's our goal. Is to be able to reach out further, because we have many Guatemalan pastors who would appreciate what we offer there. So in the education portion, we made it very flexible. We operate a 4-day school week. We give Mondays off because many of our families are very busy on Sunday. Sunday's a big ministry day for them. And so we saw as Monday is a difficult day to then get to school and whatnot. So we wanted to give them that day to rest, get their homework done and whatnot, and just have that as family time as well. So we're a 4-day school week. We are a flexible program that kids can come part-time or full-time. Some of them homeschool, and they can even come. And some of them don't do any of our work. They just bring their homeschool curriculum and work with us because number one, they love the interaction with the other kids. And also, the parents love them having the structure that we provide there with teacher support. They can come and ask questions and work with us. So they get that interaction with the teachers, but they work on their own curriculum. So it's very flexible. Even we don't do online classes, but I do tutoring. So even as I'm traveling here, I'm still tutoring kids who are here stateside on furloughs and whatnot. I'm tutoring with them, or kids who just need a little extra help. So as to alleviate the weight on Sarah while I'm gone, I tutor them as well. So I have a tutoring schedule every morning that I've been keeping to, even while traveling. So anyway, and you'll see the kids in there. We run the school as a really kind of like a one-room schoolhouse environment where we do classes, but then we have a lot of individual work time where the kids come and work with Sarah and I individually. And we grade with them. We help them with math and other issues that they're having. And they get very comfortable with us. I have an 8-year-old, and she's not afraid to speak her mind. So she comes over. She's a little low energy. She doesn't, she'll tell you if she doesn't want to be at school that day. And she gives me her work. She's like, "Come on, Mr. Smith." She's like, "Just, we're supposed to grade it together." She's like, "Let's not do this. Just mark it okay and let's, move on." Which I then laugh and tell her to sit down. But they're fun. They get very comfortable with us, but it creates a neat relationship where we can disciple them and work with them. So it's a great group of kids. We've fluctuated over the past 3 years. We've had as many as 55 students. Right now we have 35 students, and again, that fluctuates based on who's traveling, maybe some families who leave the field, and we get many new missionaries in. So we get new applications every quarter, and the parents reapply every quarter. But we have our steady group, and we're always adding to that. So that is the education portion of Encounter, which it's great. It is not a traditional school. We offer PE some quarters, and then in between those, we offer art classes. So Sarah, while I've been gone, I've actually missed that. I hate that I'm missing it, but it's been culinary arts. So Sarah's been teaching cooking, apple pie, breakfast items. When I get back, I plan to teach a meat class. We're going to work on some different meats and whatnot. But we have fun with the kids and are able to do some exciting things with them. So you've seen all the ages there. They're aged, we start at 5 up to high school, and we have all that age range. But again, it varies per quarter. But Encounter, so we're in our 4th year. The last 3 years, God's taught Sarah and I a lot, because Encounter's other mission is to be a community to those in ministry and a resource to them as well. What we found many times overseas is that you have many independent missionaries that are not very connected. And so it can create a sense of loneliness, which Sarah and I have had and experienced ourselves. Even if you do have other staff or you work with other missionaries, there's conflicts and disagreements. It's helpful to have, other people from outside that you can talk to and confide in. And so there's a loneliness that we saw. There's a need for education. Many people do worry about their kids and if they are in an area that's isolated. So the vision of the school portion was to create community where it didn't exist. Usually, in the States, the church will do that, and we're not a church, and we don't do that. We don't claim to be a church, but church can be very difficult because many are working with native pastors. They spend more of their time out in other churches rather than having a home church themselves. So one of the things that we encourage the missionaries to do is whatever their ministry context is, to find a church, a home church, where they're at. And sometimes that has to be out of the box. Many of them even attending online. We encourage them not only to attend a church online if that's the only option, but to be as involved as they can. So that's when our idea of being a resource comes into play. But in creating community among them, we bring something that they are missing if they don't have a church right there that they can attend, and that is connecting them with others, being there to support each other, to encourage each other, and then we bring in people to help us in teaching and discipling those that are in the community. So we want to draw them in, connect them with other missionaries, and help them realize that their own struggles, they're not alone. Because it's easy, we as believers do that. If we're struggling in an area, we many times isolate ourselves thinking we're the only ones struggling with that, and that's not true. So we create community with them, and then Sarah and I, we want to offer resources, whether it's connecting them with counselors if they need marriage counseling, or connecting them with support-raising resources if finances are a big stressor for the family, offering classes to help them in those areas, encourage them, and you name it. We're always looking to connect them with something that they may need to encourage them and help them continue serving where God's called them. So, in the last 3 years, I wanted to bring up, God has taught us, as we jumped into this ready to help the missionaries, but what God told us early on, or showed us, is that, my mic's working, right? Sorry. Okay. Is that we had to learn these lessons first before we could teach them. I mean, we thought we had something to teach, and I believe we did, but God showed us, no, you still have a little more to learn before you're really ready. And so as we look back over the past 3 years, it's been us learning some tough lessons that we didn't quite realize, but we had to jump into this to start to learn. And one of those is to slow down. When we started Encounter, we went all in, like a big freight train, just ready, energetic to do this. But as we hit obstacles, hit resistance, hit different things in life that came, we started to burn out real quick. It's a marathon. We were sprinting and ready. And so we had to learn to slow down. And it took some hard lessons to help us understand that. As we learned to slow down, we learned also how to prioritize Jesus. And what we've seen is that there's so much work. There's so many opportunities for ministry that we sometimes are so eager to do the work that we leave Jesus behind. And we get busy with the work and forget about him. And then what's coming out of us is not Jesus, is not his love. It's our own ego, it's our own, um, you know, talents and skills, but it's not him. So in slowing down, we've also learned to prioritize Jesus above the work, which means, just as Jesus did, as he had a line of people to heal, and Jesus is like, hey, I got to get out of here, and he disappeared. And many times Jesus left the crowds to be with his Father, and we have to do that, and we've had to learn to say no, even though it's not what we want to do. It's not our instinct. And the hardest way that God, these past 3 years, we've learned some hard lessons, but one of them has been, in the hardest way possible, and that's through losses and deaths. In the 3 years since we started Encounter, we've lost 2 students who have passed away from cancer and tumors, both very young, just 18, 19, right there as they're beginning their life, and seeing them deteriorate quickly, and walking through the families with that is very tough. In that time, we've both lost a parent. Sarah lost her mom, again, very rapidly to ALS. She received the diagnosis and then a year later passed away. It was really tough for us, but it was also God using that to wake us up, to the realities of we were pouring into the work to the point that I think we missed some opportunities to be with and enjoy her mom. So that, that's been us grieving even, our losses with them. And then my dad this past January passed away. And just walking through that, having walked with Sarah through her grieving, and then to do that. And then a good friend of mine, a dear friend, who I've been involved with in learning to slow down and be with Jesus. She was part of a group of the retreats I've been doing in Chicago. Passed away in April from the Nashville shooting. She was the principal in the school in Nashville, Catherine Kuntz. And that was a terrible loss for the group of 5 that meet together. She was one of our 5. And it was a group where we share deeply what God's doing with us, but where we're struggling. It was a group where we could really come together and just walk with each other. And then to lose her suddenly like that is very difficult. So through these losses, God has walked along with us. It's not been easy. But yet, Sarah and I, in the past, I would say the past year, we've experienced great joy and contentment in that time. And so it's been amazing to see how even this tough time, these losses, and even being able to sit down with a counselor and talk through some of this has opened my eyes to some of the needs that I've had that maybe I've left unattended, and then to also help others who are experiencing those same losses. One of our community just lost their parent, and being able to help them in that way and walk, having walked to that road now for almost a year to understand it. So it's been a tough 3 years, but God has been teaching us to teach others. And that's, we didn't realize we had, more to learn. Wisdom should tell us we do, but we have, sometimes we need that wake-up call. So Encounter, it's a school, a community, and a resource to other missionaries. We are right now working with the parents on learning to slow down, learning to say no and to be with their kids. Because as I work with the kids, kids, they are the barometer. They're truth. They walk, they talk, truth. And I love that. I love that about the kids. I had a friend in Bible school who mistakenly thought, this was before he had any kids, that people had kids, not primarily, but he thought that kids made you look better. Like he thought it made you look really good. We all of us new parents out there laughed at that, No, kids will tell you the truth of what's going on at home, and so as we work with our students, they're so blunt about what they see and what they experience. But many times at home, their parents are in ministry, but the kids will say at home it's not peaceful. We don't experience Christ's love, and we ask them questions about how they, as they work with their parents and live this life of ministry, which many of them have grown up in it. What is their view? How do they see Christ, in that? And some of the, do they see it as something happy and joyful that, something that they want to be a part of? And many of our teenagers will say, no, we don't see it as happy and joyful. We see it as painful and unhappy, talking about their home life. And so as they're honest about that, we know that to be true from our own kids. Corin was walking with, my son was walking with walking with my wife, Sarah, and said, he told her, Mom, I'm happy that you spend more time with us now. He's like, you don't work all the time like you used to. He's like, and he was just honest with her. He said that, that really made me sad, and that, struck Sarah. But as we've prioritized our kids, even over ministry, saying no, the kids have come alive and been able to even voice that, voice their joy of having their parent with us, And so, it's a blessing to Sarah and I. It's a blessing as we spend time with Christ and enjoy the relationship with Him, which we haven't always enjoyed. We realize, God talks about Himself as a parent. And we, like our children, we want to enjoy our parents. We want to see them and be with them, spend time with them. And we've enjoyed that time with Christ, just having joy in it, like Corin enjoying time with Sarah and going out on dates. We tell our kids we're going to go out. Whenever we do take time, even away from them to be with Jesus, we tell them we're going on a date with God, And they know what that means because we take them on dates. We take them to McDonald's and have ice cream. Isn't it neat to think about your relationship with Christ as just going out and having an ice cream with God? It really is, that simple and that joyful. But for them to see that, it's a blessing. So Sarah and I have made many mistakes, but it's encouraging for us to see as we do these things, to see our kids even coming alive to Christ and to that, the joy that relationship is. So that is what we want to bring to the families that we work with, where they're struggling, what we want to invite them into. And it's just an invitation. Many have said no, some have left, some have not been interested. And it's tough for Sarah and I to watch that, but we're here, God's given us the opportunity to learn it and then to invite others, and that's our goal, is to do that. So you see all the kids, including the dog. We have a nice school dog. He comes to class with us, by the way. And that is what we're offering to these parents, but what we've had to learn ourselves. I love to share a quote from Dallas Willard, and we've delved into it a little bit with them. He says that, and we talk about the parents with this. Actually, it came up in our last parent meeting that we did. We call it a community chat. You must arrange your days so that you are experiencing deep contentment, joy, and confidence in your everyday life with God. And that's what we encourage them to do. Take a step back. You have a lot of ministry opportunity. Guatemala has a lot of needs. There's many people who want something from you, but sometimes, just as Jesus escaped to be with the Father, you say, I'm sorry, I need to go be with my Father. And when I come back, I may can give something then, So it's something that we're still learning. I think God has a lot more to teach us in the next 3 years of Encounter. We've prayed and asked Him. Our vision for Encounter is to replicate it and see more of them. And we've had requests to start these in other areas. But as we've prayed and sought the Lord for discernment and how to proceed, He's told us, I want you to stay faithful right where you're at and just keep going, stay steady, and continue to build this. We're right now putting in place a board for the school that can, if Sarah and I were to fall ill or have to leave or whatever could happen, we want this to continue without us. And we want the structure in place so that, they can continue. We are the only staff. We have volunteers, but we do have a new staff couple coming down, preparing to come down. And they're going slow about it. We're walking through them so that they can come down prepared and in a good way, knowing what to expect. And so we see our time right now as the Lord's leading is to just stay faithful, building this slowly, little by little, and so that wherever He leads us next, it will be stable and will be used by Him in whatever way that may be. But we tell people, even if we had to close the school tomorrow, it doesn't stop the ministry that we have, because it's building relationships with these missionaries, with their families, their kids, and it's discipleship is what it is. It's discipleship with them and with the Guatemalans, because our vision is to see the Guatemalan church thrive and grow and take over this. We don't want to continue that. We want to see them start to meet the needs of their country as a church, whether it's the orphan epidemic that they have, the need for foster care and for discipling, or the poverty that still exists, that the church can meet the need of and work and build the relationships. Because it's not about giving money, it's not about giving food, it's about relationship with the people. So our vision is for the Guatemalans to do that in their church, but there's more discipleship that has to happen. So for now, we're in Guatemala and seeing what the Lord's doing, but we're excited for what He's going to do to spur the church on there and to kick us out and send us somewhere else, So that's the goal. And just to give you a little glimpse of Guatemala, it's a beautiful country. We're surrounded by volcanoes where we live. We're at 5,000 feet in elevation, and our area of Guatemala, the region that we live in, is known as the land of eternal spring. So it is, our average temperature all year is 75 degrees with low humidity. So whether you're in Florida in the summertime and are wishing for that, or you're way up north in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and wishing for some spring, we have it there. So we're very spoiled with the weather and the coffee, because with all the volcanic soil, we have plenty of amazing coffee. But it's a beautiful country. There's many missionaries work with the Mayan. The Mayan Indians stayed isolated from the Spanish in Guatemala, many of them, more so than you see in other countries like Nicaragua and Honduras. We have many of the Mayan ruins there, but the Mayan people are a beautiful people and just amazing to talk to and to build relationships with. I tower above all of them. They're all short. So even Corin, my son, who's growing rapidly, he's 9, he'll be next to a 9-year-old in karate who's of Mayan descent, and just, twice his height. It's entertaining to see, but they're an amazing people. So Guatemala has a rich history and just a beauty there that we feel spoiled to be a part of and to be there. And if you ever want to come visit, we would love for you guys to come see what we do. We always tell you, if you come, we'll take you to the volcano. We can play in the lava. We'll take you swimming in a hot spring after that. And I'm being dead serious. You see the volcanoes right there? But you can actually play in the lava. Not swimming in it, but, But it's an amazing country, one that Sarah and I never suspected we'd end up in, but we're thankful that the Lord took us there and has us there now. And we plan to continue faithfully serving as long as He gives us the opportunity and, does not move us elsewhere. We'll be there for the time being. So Lord willing. But I want to thank you so much for your support and you guys, your encouragement to us. It is a blessing to Sarah and I to know that we have all these people behind us, both financially, by prayer, and your thoughts and prayers. We send out many updates, and we love getting responses from different people, just knowing that they're being read, and we're remembered, because it gets isolated there. We don't see you guys often, unfortunately, but knowing that you can stay connected with us, and we try and stay connected with you as well. I wanted you to see the family because it has been a while since we've been here, and as the kids get older, all of our missionary kids, many of them plan to return to the States. But we've seen, we're very concerned as teachers because they grow up in Guatemala. They are not used to U.S. culture. They don't even know U.S. money very well. So we've been, we're like, we have to get these kids ready if they ever go back to the States, So we bring down, actually we have a buck system where they can earn that in school. We've made it all in American dollars now and Canadian dollars for our Canadian students. So that when they go back, hopefully they're a little more used to the United States. But I hope that Sarah and the kids, we can come through and see you guys. We're trying to make some more trips for them so they can get accustomed to the U.S. in anticipation of living here. Because as Annie, my oldest, says, she says, Dad, I love Guatemala, and I like what you do, but would you be mad at me if I want to live in the States when I graduate? And I tell her, no, we're going to get you ready for that. So I hope we can come through here with them, and you guys can meet them in person. But that is all I have. I want to mention I have the table out there with some of the photos from the school, which you guys have seen a lot of those. I have a lava rock out there if you want to come hold that and take a look at it, and a jade. Jade is a rock there that you see. The Mayans do amazing things with jade. So I have one there you can view. It's very beautiful. And I have run out of these, but I'm going to leave. This is a Who We Are pamphlet. I'm going to leave it there so you guys can take a look at it. And then I'm trying to think of an extra one. I might leave this one here and just for, to leave out if you guys are interested in reading more about what we do. Sarah is a beautiful writer, and she wrote this up just to better, I've marked in it a little bit, but I'll see if I can find one. But it describes who we are and what our purpose is in a beautiful way. So I'll leave that or find one to leave with you. But thank you so much. It's so good to be with you guys this morning. That was, when was that? That was earlier on, but she is off the crutches now. It was a ankle injury. So thank you for your prayers, those who saw that.